Hello, hello. I hope you all are doing well. I am just going to do a walkthrough real quick on our Full of Life workshop and talk to you about anything that's just something you kind of need to know about as you're creating this. So in your supply list, I just had the actual cardstock for you to be able to cut up, and you're going to be able to put a lot of this on any color background that you want. You can see here I had some extra, I think this might have been Canary from Close to My Heart that I just used on the background, but you can't see any of it. I did put in the supply list like white and black for some of them. Some of them are going to matter, but just FYI, if as you're creating this, you have some extra cardstock that you're not really using anymore, you don't love the color, it's been sitting there for a while, several of these layouts can work well for that. One thing I will say is when you have pieces like this, after you cut them, you are going to use them through the embossing machine. And if you're going to outline them like I did, then you will want to do the outline before you put them in the embossing machine. And I used this one, the Dotted Circles embossing folder. It is a larger embossing folder than some of them from Stampin' Up. I really like the size of it because you can do the full 6x6, and you can decide like where you want it here. As you can see with this one, I kind of put it here. And so I got that top part that you can have there. So the other thing I would say is if you know you're going to put it through your embossing machine, it does not hurt to make it just a tad bit larger when you cut it than what I actually showed it cut for. So in a lot of areas you're going to have the space to do that. You're going to have a lot of little extra. In this one it would not really matter so much as because you're going to be hiding on this side, and these two pieces will come together, so you're going to kind of overlap them. But on some that goes direct to the paper, when you put it through the embossing machine, this kind of just shrinks up just a little bit. And when I mean a hair, I mean a hair. Or if we're talking about Christine Livingston, like we're talking about an eyelash, like it's literally going to shrink up just a little bit. So you don't need a lot of extra cardstock in order to do that, but just give it just a little bit more than less in order to have that. Same thing here. Again, this one's, you've got a 6x6 and a 6x6. This is a full 6x6 sheet. So on this one, you might want to do it like 1/6 and what is it, 1/18 or something like that all the way across, just so that when you go to cut it, you know that it's going to have, if you have any shrinkage, it's going to be good. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say in the embossing. If you're not going to use an embossing folder, then don't worry about it. But I love, love, love the texture that this gives. Now, because I used the Stampin' Up cardstock, there is color straight through and through, and so you're not getting any of that like little crackled with the white popping through like you would with the Close to My Heart paper. Sometimes I love that and sometimes I don't, and this, it could have gone either way. So if you're recreating this and you're using what you have in stash and it has the white core, the white in the background here will work just fine. But all of the embellishments, everything here that you cut out of the Cricut, all of that's gonna, you know, work perfectly fine for that. The other thing I'm going to tell you right now is this is with the thin cuts that we have now, or die cuts that we have. I want to show you these die cuts really quickly. All right, so I've actually got it somewhat attached to my paper, but I want to show you the best bang for your buck basically as you do it. These two pieces here are separate, and when you go to cut this large one out, it actually is still attached. I'm going to pop this up so you can see it. It's still attached to the cardstock. So what you're going to need to do is just take your scissors and trim it just a little bit to get it out. And I can trim that up a little bit too to make that close, but you can get that little tail or not. Now when you cut this out, here's the piece here, and again I left it here so that you can see it. Let me take my piercing tool. When you cut it out, it does not do a complete heart. So if you notice in all of the layouts that I have here, I have the ends. Oh, that's where I've got my tape, so I want to make sure I don't get there. There we go. I've got the ends where they go through just like this, and it's being held down here. Okay, so you're not even going to see that it's open. But if you go to put it on a layout or on another layout, or if you go to make a card, you'll want to have an embellishment or something right here in this area to kind of cover up where it doesn't come together. Now, when I make my cut, like I said, these two pieces are separate, but I just put a very small piece of embossing, or not embossing, I'm sorry, washi tape here to hold it together. And that way I can get two cuts out at the same time, and it takes a lot of guesswork, a lot of time off of me, because I'm getting the two pieces I need, and the center part isn't a waste. Unless I want a full solid piece of center, then I can, of course, not use this inside and just use the outline. This is what the inside looks like. Now, the inside of this is so pretty. Like, I love it. But what I do is I take like a little container and I just pop out all my insides of all the little pieces here, and then this also, and I just put them in here. That makes it super easy if I'm going to do like a card later or a layout and I want to have all those pieces. I have them all there, and it kind of keeps them combined together. I have a card, couple cards I made from this that I just wanted to show you really quickly. Here is one card that I made, and I know I'm not talking about the layouts yet, but I want you to understand when you go to cut these. All I did on this one was I put this through on the white cardstock, and I just popped out all the things. I didn't even do the outline piece. I just did that center piece, and I did it on one piece of white cardstock, and then I put a piece of the Full of Life 6x6 papers, which is here. It was just an extra one of the sheets that I had. I put that behind it. And I really liked how that worked out, because it was extra paper that I had in my pack. I wasn't using up anything, you know, in addition, anything like that, or trying to find something. And I loved the layering, or the ombre look of the different colors. So that was super easy. So obviously this is not created in the kit, but this is just an idea for you to see of what you can do with the leftovers that you have. Another thing, this is part of our thank you workshop that's coming out to everybody who placed their orders in September. This is one of the things that we're going to create. And this is where I have the outline in the white. So that pink that you just saw, this is the white instead. And then I just took all of the little pieces that I had here in this, and I just poked them right in there. And that way I could change them up. I could, you know, have multiple colors, all of that. And so I have them in here. It makes it super easy for me just to grab and use. This did take just a few minutes, but honestly, not as long as you would think, because a lot of these pieces are the exact same. It's only going to be like the outlines that have a different look, so that you're kind of looking for those. But even those are so defined that it's not really hard to find them, if that makes sense. So those are just some things to think about as you're making your die cuts to get ready for this layout, of things just to kind of think ahead and do. And so it will kind of work for you now and for later. Okay. So when I did attach this one to the layout, as you can see, I did not put adhesive behind my heart, because I want to make sure I can get my photo right there. Same thing here. I put adhesive in the center, but I did not put it, and I made sure that that center went kind of on my black cardstock. That way I could still get all of my photos down like they needed to. Okay. And so everything else is pretty standard of what we've done in the past. Now, I like to show here that I've got the white outline, just because it pops up off the pages. I'm showing it for you. But obviously, when you go to put your photos down here, most likely you're not going to draw that white, you know, or that black line along the outside of your photos. If you want to use this as a photo mat and cut down your 4x6 photo to maybe a 3x5, then you would have that white come through out of the back and then the line. Totally up to you what you are going to do. These things are really hard to come by now, so I'm not sending these in the thank you workshops anymore, because I've just got a few and I need to use those for when I'm showcasing them to you guys. But I wanted you to have that in mind. Like, this you can absolutely outline, but it's really not necessary. It just helps it pop off the pages you're seeing it. But I do like the outline just with the black outline on the cardstock. Again, that's going to pull in the black from the background here and from your titles. Okay. So these layouts are not in any specific order. It's just what I had sitting here. This layout actually does have, let me put this here. This actually does have 2 X's on this top, and mine I lost before as I was creating it and didn't realize it when when I was taking pictures. I found it. I should have put it on there. I apologize that I didn't, but I felt like it had already been forever since I had gotten this video done, so, or gotten to this video, so I wanted to do it. Same thing on here. Everything's the same that we had just talked about. I just got this popped off so I can get my photo up underneath there. Same thing with the blue. This is going to give you, you know, if you just look at that, you're going to have that nice pop of definition and dimension. This one, you wouldn't have to worry about cutting any larger because it's not filling a gap for the background, but obviously this page is the white cardstock background. Same thing here. I just did white cardstock background. I didn't even put my photo placeholders because you can obviously see where your photos are going to go. And that to me just would have been a waste, but these are all going to be just 4x6s. I love these because there's no definition of what it has to be used for. These can be used for such fun summer days, for anything of just playing to, you know, going out, having fun, you know, doing whatever. I love, like, tend to be more of a muted person, probably like the fall colors or the spring. These are very summery colors, but I really like them. I have to say, I really, really like them. So you've got like all the different backgrounds here. Again, this is going to be, you're going to want to cut this piece just a little bit larger. This is going to be from your thin cut. You're cutting this out of your black cardstock. These are from your Cricut print and cuts if you're doing it on your own or if I'm sending them to you. And then again, another little piece. So this is the only one that's going to matter on this side, that if you would make it cut just a little bit larger, like just that eyelash that we talked about. All the others are just kind of filling in as decorative, but this one's going to fill in that space. So you're going to want to make sure that it fills that in. So everything's there. You've got this one. This one is really fun. I can see this absolutely for a birthday or a celebration or any of this. Just getting outside. I mean, like, even like you're looking at the rainbows, happy, you make every day happy. Like, it doesn't have to be a happy birthday. But obviously, you know, there's so much fun stuff here that you could do that. You mean the world to me. Love this memory. Something that you're doing, that you're celebrating with people. Now, I will tell you right here, when I used this twine, as you can see at the ends, I just tied a little knot, and that just makes it kind of look finished, in my opinion. You can even take your tweezers or something and break that apart so it kind of looks frayed. I've seen some people do that recently. I did like the look of it, but for this one, I really just like the clean look of the black, since we just had some of the black backgrounds and that kind of thing. I like the clean look of it not being frayed, but you do what works for you. And then of course we've got the iridescent gems. Love those. I think they're beautiful for this layout. All right, here's another one. So beautifully lived, so deeply loved. And so this can be for anything. Now this one I don't have down super, super well. I've got it popped up. I'll let you see. I've got, you know, it popped up all the way across, but I only have it attached in one area because I want to make sure I can get my photo down. Same thing here. And then once I have my photo down, then I'm going to adhere that better. I'll just take off the backing of the foam tape and that will be fine. Again, this one doesn't have any glued down. This, it glues down really well because it's so thin. There's two things I'll talk to you about. One is using like a very thin tipped adhesive. And so Stampin' Up! Carries the, this is their adhesive that does that. It's got a really thin tip right here. I will say it's a little bit more watery. So just know when you go to use it, you don't need to press or hold down or let out a lot because it is very watery and it will go a little bit further. But when you need it, you know, but it works very well. So let me say that. I know a lot of you use the Barely Art. That's got a real thin tip too. You can use that. That's not a problem. But when I do that, I put that here on the backing just where I'm going to have it stuck down. Then if I want to go later and add on more, I can, just by putting a couple dots on the back of this, and I can stick it down. It's totally up to you. I honestly probably won't because I'm going to put it in a page protector. I know it's going to be adhered down in many areas. I'm not going to worry about that. Okay. Now let's talk really quickly about this little piece right here. So this is one of the dies that comes with the set, and it's a little paint swipe. And you can see right here how long it is. Now one end is flat or kind of flat, and the other end is kind of jagged, and it gives that little paint swipe look. So how was I able to get the jagged edge on both? Very simply. All you're going to do is you're going to put it through your, I'm looking to see if I have a piece here, and I don't know that I do. You're going to put it through your paper. me see if I can, I'm just going to pull in a piece of zip strip so you can see it. You're going to put it through your paper. You're going to cut it out with your die strip just like this. Then you're going to put it through again, and this time you're going to turn the die over. You're going to put it back right on top of where you had it, and you're going to put it, say that this is the piece, this is how long it is, but I only want this much. Then I'm going to move this part down to here and put it just like this. And then I'm going to, when I go to put it through my die cutting machine, I'm going to make sure that it goes only, it's gonna like roll, I guess you could say, because we put it through the roller. It's only gonna roll down to about here, and then I'm gonna pull it back out. It could go down the whole way, and that would be fine because you've already cut the rest of it off. It really does, for this part, it really doesn't matter. But I'm wanting to make sure that I can get my cut over part of the middle of the of that. Let me actually show you, because it is harder when you're looking at it to do it. But this is a really fun technique and something that you can think about when you're doing, you know, other projects or that kind of thing. Look at your dies and see, how can I adjust them to make them mine? Okay, so here is just a piece of spare cardstock I just had sitting here on my desk. I'm going to take a piece of washi tape or low tack tape, and I'm just going to put this here. Make sure you can see. Oh, there's one of my leaves. I have little leaves everywhere, even though I try and keep that, see, you can see, here's another one. Even though I try and keep that bin right there so I can stick them in, sometimes they just come out flying. So, but again, that just helps when I see them. I can just stick them right in there, and then I have them for later. And I like using that. That's one of those photo cases that Close to My Heart used to carry. You can also get something very similar to that, like the dollar store, anything like that, that you can just put your supplies in and be able to keep. All right, so I'm going to cut off all the extra of this because I don't need it. Okay, I'm going to just put this through my die cutting machine. Obviously, for what I'm trying to do, actually, let me do it the other way so you can see. You can see more of it. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to just stick it in here like that. I'm going to put it through my die cutting machine. And I have that off camera just because I think it's probably already shaking the table where you are. It's still the same table, but it's further over, and I'm hoping it's giving it a little bit more of a base, and it's not making you sick as I do it. All right, so I'm going to take this off. And if you've not played with these before, this one pops right out, but some of them, especially when you get to the heart, there's these little holes, and you can just take a piercing tool and make that pop out. Okay, so that's a really long piece, and I really just want a shorter piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want it about that long. Can you see about what it is? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this through. Now, the one thing to notice is, because this is jagged, it's going to have different jagged edges on this side too. Well, honestly, that doesn't matter to me, right? Because with those jagged edges, it's already that way anyway. It's not a straight line. I'm not trying to keep it a straight line, so that doesn't matter to me. But I think that that's about the size that I want, maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches. I'm just going to put it back in here like that. Put it back through my die cutting machine. Here we go. And there you go. So that is the piece. Now I've got it jagged on both sides, and that's about what I had right here. So obviously a different color, but that shows you the whole process I went through to be able to get these. Same thing up here. It's basically the whole piece of this. I just turned it back around and cut off this end with this jagged look, or jagged end. So very simple, not hard to do, but I really like the look of it here. It makes it look like washi tape. It makes it look like that, you know, swash basically. And I just thought it was really fun and playful for these papers. All right, so there's that. Then we've got, this is another layout I love. It's very simple. You can put it this way or this way. I don't know why, but I tend to always love my titles on the left side. But this is one of those, if you like to change it up every once in a while and not always have it in the same place, and I do enjoy doing that as well, that this is actually how it was created, okay? So that the title is actually on the right side instead of the left. Very simple cuts, that kind of thing. Same thing we're doing with the swag or swish, however you want to call that. Again, just adding in some more of our thread here, and then our gems. So again, this one's a very simple, and I think this is a great way to show you that even if the cardstock or the DSP paper comes in 6x6, this is how you can take that. This is a 6x6 piece, and this is a 6x6 piece. All I did was move this piece down an inch and move this piece up an inch at the bottom. They overlap right here. And so I'm getting that, because this is like that ombre look, I'm getting that color all across the board. But that's how, like with these pieces, these are 2 6x6s, it fills up a good portion of the page. I'm just adding on my photos down here. This is another piece of black cardstock I've added here, you know, to kind of have it raised up a little bit. I did not raise this up with 3D foam tape because I did here with my title, but if you wanted to give it even extra definition, you could raise this full piece up with foam and then raise this up even more. So just something to consider, really depending upon how you want that definition. With all of these hearts, you easily could just go ahead and adhere the entire hearts down. I did the same thing. You can see it's still able to pull some up. Some places I think maybe add just a dot or two of glue, but nothing major. Okay, and then here is the last one that we have. Again, very simple, but very, and when I say simple, I don't think that they look simple, but because we're using the 6x6 pieces, they're mostly already cut for us. Like this is just flat 6x6. We're laying them down on a base page. This one I did use white cardstock, but you could, because we're filling the cardstock, you could use any color of cardstock you wanted. This is the white cardstock base because that is going to be the main that you're going to see come through. And you can see I just took my black pen and just drew my line around it. Same thing here. But again, like we talked about earlier, you won't necessarily do them here if that's where your photos are and you don't want that extra piece. Here is a double edge. So I just overlaid them just a little bit, kind of offset up just a little bit, and then put them here. Again, I want to be able to get my photo up underneath, so I didn't adhere that straight down. This does have an opening, but I had one piece going to the blue, to the black, so it looked like it might be finishing, and then this one overlapping. I thought that looked cute. Totally up to you how you want to do that. And again, of course, your swishes. So, and we've got them here as well. So I hope you guys like that layout. I have another layout that I'm going to be showing on my Facebook group, Scrapping with Heather Hicks. That is going to be using the scraps of the pieces that are here. So you saw what I did with one of the scraps with the card. And so I'm going to be showing that as well. But I am also going to be creating from additional like little pieces of scraps. So when you're having to cut down these base pages of the 6x6, keep those because there's so much that you can do with them. And I hope that I can show you just how far you can push this one workshop that we did with all the little pieces. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out, leave a message here, or you can email me directly at Scrapping with Heather Hicks, Heather at Scrapping. Anyway, you have a great day, and I will talk with